Assalamualaikum. It's the chosen one, it's the guided one. It's the guided one, it's the chosen one. Give me a second while I try and set this up. I've been having difficulty trying to place my phone. As I told you guys, we were going to come to this. So, here we go. And I think that works for now. Alright, take a sip of my coffee before we get started. Alright, so it's the chosen one, it's the guided one, it's the guided one, it's the chosen one. It's the man with the pitcher of water. Now, today's discussion is going to be homosexuality in the DSM. Now, the DSM is the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders. And there were different versions of it over time, right? Which should tell you something which is really intriguing, necessary but intriguing. And the reason I say it's intriguing is because having a different, different classifications for mental disabilities is a good thing to kind of weed out the abnormalities in society. However, at the same time, we all know there's no such thing as normal because people are different. People perceive the world differently. But there are certain things that just go against the very nature of who and what we are as human beings. So, if you disagree with any of that, you can just tap out because we're going to dive deep into some of what that stuff is based on these manuals and their different versions. Now, the reason I said it was intriguing was because this manual has had different versions, as you can see. The DSM 2, 3. I think 2 is where they stopped the. Two is where they stopped classifying homosexuality as a disorder, and they changed the definition. Now, the reason I said it was intriguing was because when you change these, right, these change along with the times, along with the ages, along with, I don't know if you guys can see this, but it changes as the mentality of society changes, or they're being added to, let's say, right? And that's a very dangerous thing because then you have an entire manual, you have an entire inventory of disorders and meanings that you can just throw and label people, and that's what you see in today's society. Hold on, let me take a sip of coffee real quick. That's what you see in today's society, and it's disgusting because people are using these things to attack people, right? To attack whoever, whether it be gays, the LGBTQ, whether it be whoever, if it's just somebody you don't like, if it's not even just somebody's, disposition in society, maybe it's their disposition ideologically, maybe it's their disposition religiously. People are using things like this to justify how they treat someone. They've taken certain things from these definitions and meanings, and if, let's say, I didn't like Joe Smo up the street, I'd be like, look, Joe is showing signs of blase blah, and this in the DSM is labeled blase blah. Now I'm going to label Joe blase blah, and now I've just tarnished Joe and his reputation and who he is without even getting to know him. All based on my own perception, my own ignorance. You know what I'm saying? And you guys get what I'm saying. I might have lost the words right now, but you know what I'm saying. But what we're going to do right now is get started. And this is called Homosexuality in the DSM, right? So classification of gay, lesbian, and bisexual sexual orientations. underwent major changes in different editions, just like I said, of the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, published by the American Psychiatric Association. DSM-1 classified these orientations as paraphilia. What does that mean? Hey, there it is. Boom. That's why I like Wikipedia. It gives you the definitions, right? And you can look all these things up, right? Paraphilia is the experience of intense sexual arousal to atypical objects. A meaning opposite, typical meaning normal, average. So it's the opposite of the average objects, situations and fantasies and behaviors or individuals. So, back then the DSM-1 told us, basically, that's exactly what it is, guys, right? Homosexuality, LGBTQ, that's what it is. You have these feelings that don't go along with the atypical human experience when it comes to sex. Whether that's the physical sex or the gender sex. Now, once you got under the DSM-2, they called it sexual orientation disturbance, right? And then later down the road in the DSM-3, they changed it to ego dystonic homosexuality, which is, it refers to behaviors, values, and feelings that are in harmony with or acceptable to the needs and the goals of the ego, or consistent with one's ideal self-image, right? And this definition isn't just related to homosexuality, but it describes the type of homosexuality, right? Because everything is ego-driven, right? And that's how they control you. Once they get to your ego, once they throw things in your face and it feeds your ego, and you're like, man, I want that for myself, or man, I want that stimulation, you know what I mean? This is where they get you, you know what I'm saying? So, and that's the opposite of ego. I read the wrong definition, sorry. So, ego syntonic is what I read, right? But ego dystonic is the opposite, referring to thoughts and behaviors that are in conflict or dissonant with the needs and goals of the ego. So, up until the DSM-3, right? Which we have a DSM-4, 5, and 6, you know, we'll get to those down the road. They labeled this, it was still an abnormal thing, right? I mean, it went against who you were, right? Because the ego is who a lot of us are, right? Right, guys? And the whole process of spiritual awakening and getting to higher levels of consciousness, you know, even in the human life, you know, is about, you know, not only not killing the ego per se, but getting to a point where your ego, you have it under control, because your ego is your enemy. Your ego is the devil. That's what the devil tempts in you, right? So your ego is not to be eradicated, but it's to be mastered, to where you aren't victim to it. You know what I'm saying? So here, because people are victim to it, you have the psychiatrists of the time labeling homosexuality as an ego dystonic thing, right? Before finally dropping the subject from DSM-3R, right? All right, so now let's backtrack a little bit. Let's just see what they wrote here, right? We're just gonna talk about some of these things because a lot of you don't seem to understand where this stuff comes from, right? A lot of you wanna act like this is a normal thing, but I will. If you don't understand metaphysics, if you don't understand science, if you don't understand who and what we are, as I've always been preaching, you're still going to be lost in this delusion that homosexuality is a normal thing, and it's not. I'm sorry to say. When I say normal, I mean anything that aligns with nature. If you are something that's going against nature, then you're a how can I put this? If you go against nature or your own nature, you are your own threat. That is suicide. It's suicide. Give me a second. Look at the old civilizations, right? Before we dive into this, right? For example, Rome and Greece, right? At the height of their civilizations, what were they doing? Men sleeping with men, women sleeping with women. Same with the Greeks. And where are they today? On walls, in stones. You don't think America's going to be there? Anyway, let's dive into this. So, the DSM-2 guys, right? DSM-2 considered homosexuality. What is homosexuality, guys? A romantic, romantic. That's a term that came from that era. That came from. I mean, look at the word. Just look at the word. Roman. There it is. Roman. I don't have to explain it. That's what it is. That's the roots. Romantic. It's from Rome. A romantic attraction. This stuff is from the look. I didn't even have to say anything. I said it beforehand. Rome and Greece. And it wasn't just them. It wasn't just those civilizations. I just used those as examples. Homosexuality is a romantic attraction, sexual attraction, or sexual behavior between members of the same sex or gender. As asexual orientation, homosexuality is an enduring pattern of emotional, romantic, and or sexual attractions to people of the same sex. Let me click on it so you can get a definition, full definition. It also refers to a person's, one second here. It also, where are we? It also refers to a person's sense of identity based on those attractions, related behaviors, and membership in a community of others who share those attractions. Oh, let's keep reading. Along with bisexuality and heterosexuality, homosexuality is one of the three main categories of sexual orientation within the heterosexual-homosexual continuum. Scientists do not know the exact cause of sexual orientation. Oh, look at that. But they theorize, pay attention, theorize, because this will come up later. Right here, guys, theorize. They theorize that it is caused by a complex interplay of genetic, hormonal, and environmental influences, and do not view it as a choice. Now, pay attention to what we read. Okay, they don't view it as a choice. But again, it's a what? It's a fucking theory. And that was all, as you'll see. Let's go back to our manuals, right? As you will see, the changes they made throughout the DSM, this manual, that defined this behavior, this phenomenon, was all based in theory. It was never a factual thing. It was never based on any real evidence. We'll read, right? We'll start with number 2 right here, right? And we'll go to all the way through all of them. We'll do the research. That's what we're here to do. We're here to find out the truth. Because a lot of you just want to talk out your ass and out of your feelings, but feelings don't dictate reality, right? Now, if you're going to be offended by what's being said here today, that's on you. My goal is not to insult. My goal is to show you the truth. And I know a lot of you, truth is, there's your truth and there's my truth. Truth is irrelevant. Truth is, what's the word? Truth is in the eye of the beholder. You know what I mean? But people have taken that word and made it such an opinionated thing. But there's truth and then there's fact, right? It doesn't matter if human beings have different perceptions. You are going to have your own truth based on that perception. But at the same time, it all has to be rooted in nature. It has to be rooted in reality. And sometimes reality is being fed to us, which is why we consider things to be different truths, but in reality, there's only one truth, and that's what aligns with nature, because nature ultimately leads back to our true creator, not the demiurge, not Satan, but our true creator. So, which we are a image of, we are a spark of, right? So we are part of that, right? Because in all the scriptures it says we will become inheritors of whatever you want to call it, Jannah, heaven, whatever you want to call it. We are the inheritors of that. Right? So that's who we are, right? So getting back to this, right? So the DSM-2 considered homosexuality, which we discussed what it was, right? A theory as one. Yeah, it's open, brother. It's not like I'm recording right now. So DSM-2 considered homosexuality, which we've already discussed, as a theory, as one form of paraphilia. But in the 7th printing of the DSM-2, homosexuality has shifted to another classification, which is sexual orientation disturbance, right? And if we scroll up, what was that? Where do we get the definition for that? How about this? Let's highlight it. Oh, sorry, hold on. Highlight it. Boom, and then, 1 second. There we go. Copy. And sorry guys, 1 second here, 1 second. That. Dude, does anybody know how to paste? This is crazy. Hold on. Got me. And now I gotta do this the other way. Wow, this thing is so complicated. Please stand by. I'm having technical difficulties. This thing is giving me a hard time. There we go. Okay. Yeah. Finally. All right. Oh, this is up here. That was fast, bro. This is for me and Lupe. Okay. This is up here. Huh? Good to go. You're good? I'm good. Are you sure? I'm good. Thank you, brother. Walaikum salam. Inshallah, drive safe. Okay, so okay. I'm sorry, guys. I wasted a lot of time doing that. I hope some of you didn't tap out. If not, you can watch it later. Yeah, so what they did was they basically just renamed it. I don't know why I wasted a lot of time doing that. It's basically just another name for homosexuality. C, sexual orientation disorder. Sexual orientation is a set of emotional, sexual, or relational factors that address the interest of individuals of the same sex, opposite sex, or both sexes. Alright. Sexual orientation is enduring pattern of romance. Look at the White House. Look at all the infrastructure in the United States. Look at our coins. Is it not the same? Whose face is on there? Our leaders. Is it not the same infrastructure? Okay. Alright, let's go back. Let's continue forward because I don't want to lose you guys. I don't want to lose your interest, right? So, the DSM-2 considered homosexuality as one form of paraphilia, but in the 7th printing of the DSM-2, homosexuality has shifted to another classification, which is sexual orientation disturbance. This major change has been preceded by increasing activities in the LGBTQ community in the 1960s, specifically the Stonewall riots, which were a series of spontaneous, violent demonstrations by the members of the gay, and hey, that sound familiar today, guys? By the gay LGBTQ community in the, oh, by the way, some of you may want to condemn Wikipedia because they called it gay. Oh, that's funny. Anyway, yeah, the LGBT community in response to a police raid that had began in the early morning hours of June 28, 1969 at the Stonewall Inn in Greenwich Village, neighborhood of Manhattan, New York. Gotta click on it, right? We gotta get out. We gotta get our information down all the way. And this is what I do, guys. This is how we explore, right? This isn't the only method in which I explore, because I have open books, as you've seen in my past videos. But if we're gonna do the research, we're not just gonna read over something to solidify and justify our perceived concept of whatever it is we're diving into, whatever we want to give a definition to something. That's not how it goes. Things have definitions for reasons, right? Words have meanings. Now, how we use those meanings is up to us. Let's not confuse reality, all right? Words, we hang too much on words and their connotations rather than actually looking at their meanings, right? So this is what we're here to do, right? Stonewall riots. We're not going to make up our own thing about what these riots were. We're going to read about it real quick. All right. So, Stonewall Uprising or Stonewall Rebellion was a series of spontaneous violent demonstrations by the gay community in response to police raid that had begun in the early morning of June 28, 1969 at Stonewall Inn in Greenwich Village neighborhood of Manhattan, New York City. Patrons of Stonewall and other village lesbian and gay bars and neighborhood street people fought back when the police became violent. The riots are widely considered to constitute one of the most important events leading to the gay liberation movement and modern fight for LGBT. Right? Now, gay Americans in the 1950s and 1960s faced an anti-gay legal system. Early homosexual groups in the U.S. sought to prove that gay people could be assimilated into society, and they favored non-confrontational education of homosexuals and heterosexuals alike. The last years of the 1960s, however, were contentious as many social and political movements were active, including civil rights, right? Anti-Vietnam, This is also this one around the same time that they what's the word? They threw out or flooded society with all these drugs that altered people's perceptions and minds and DNA, right? Very few establishments welcomed gay people. Those that did were often bars, although bar owners and managers were rarely gay. At the time, the Stonewall Inn was owned by the mafia. It catered to the assortment of patrons, was known to be popular among the poorest and more marginalized people in the gay community, butch lesbians, effeminate men, drag queens, male prostitutes, transgender people, and homeless youth. While police raids on gay bars were routine in the 1960s, officers quickly lost control of the situation at the Stonewall. Tensions between New York and gays at the residence of the Greenwich erupted into more protests that next evening, and several sorry, my eyesight's going bad, and again several nights later, within weeks or quickly organized into activist groups to concentrate efforts on establishing places for gay men and lesbians to be open about their sexual orientation without fear of being arrested. Now, it says here that it was owned by the mafia, right? Now, what they will try to get you to see here is that, and here you go, the colors of the light spectrum, right? We talked about light before, right? This is the visible light spectrum that we can perceive in this realm. That's why we see rainbows and all that. That's why every other color is a derivative of these colors, right? This is the light spectrum that we can see. It is also the spectrum of the human chakras, right? And as you've seen on the flag, they prioritize these, which is what? Sexual orientation. And that's why they have these, because these chakras have to do with sex and the lower self. And that's why at the top of the LGBTQ flag, these are the colors at the top. I've talked about this spiritually. These colors represent the closer you get to the invisible light spectrum, the spectrum we can't see. The closer you get to here, the brighter the colors become. As far as, not brighter, but more vivid the colors become. Because you're going into higher states of consciousness. But they have this at the bottom of their flag because they're not worried about higher consciousness. They're worried about materialism and staying in this realm and following agendas, right? And that's what this is. It's an agenda. Now, going back to this, because the mafia was involved, and you can tell by these times and what was going on, what's happening right here, I believe the police raided this place because of whatever affiliation the mafia had with this place. They owned it, right? I'm pretty sure there was much more than just gay people going on. I'm pretty sure there was like drugs or whatever happening in that area, right? So I don't know if you guys can read this stuff. I didn't zoom my camera in all the way, but I'm sure it'll be okay. But because the mafia, right, was involved, I can almost guarantee you that, look, it's pretty scary actually. These people need help. I can almost guarantee you that it has something to do with crime. The police weren't there, which they will try to get you to believe, right? The police weren't there to fucking, oh my God, they're being gay, let's go stop them, you know, like they were there for some crime. I can almost guarantee it, right? And it just so happened that a bunch of gay people were there, right? Let's keep reading, let's find out. That's what I'm pretty sure at the time too, that's probably what the media put out also, because that was their agenda at the time, to try and get people to, dude, what the hell? No, come on. Dude, I hate when this thing acts up like that. Alright, come on. Alright, here we go. So these were, yeah, check this out, see? Parties to the civil conflict. Stonewall Inn patrons, right? This is a bar. New York Police Department. Tactical Patrol Force, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 9th precincts. You see that, guys? It wasn't because no motherfuckers were being gay. There was some crime. I mean, the mafia owned the building. Look. Stonewall Inn was owned by the mafia. Come on now. But I can guarantee you the media at the time was probably trying to be like, oh, the police are racist, gays don't have a, you know, because that's the agenda. Who controls the media? We all know. The media was probably trying to be like, oh, the police are trying to raid the gays and trying to say that they shouldn't have a place to, come on, Why the hell would they send a tactical team in for some gay people? Because men are kissing men, women kissing women, and dressing up like boys, and men dressing up like girls. You think they send in a tactical team for that shit? Come on now. Use your fucking brain, people. Now, continuing. Because we're going to go in. We're going to go heavy, guys. We're going to go heavy. Check this out. Alright, now, after the Stonewall riots, gay men and lesbians in New York City faced gender, race, class, and generational obstacles to becoming a cohesive community. You see that? You see how they're trying to turn this into, oh, it was the police's fault. What's happening now? Black Lives Matter, which is a dumbass movement. I'll tell you, as a black man, I will tell you straight up, y'all are followers, y'all are sheep, and if you still follow that movement, you're where the hell is that smoke coming from? If you still follow that movement, you're lost, right? Because it's led by feminists and people who, hold on, guys. Sorry. It's led by feminists and people who don't have your best interests in mind, right? So if you're black and you follow that, I've always said, Black Lives Matter, feminism, LGBTQ, they're all the same type of movement. If you haven't noticed, they're all on the streets doing riots, right? And if you by now have not noticed a pattern in society, if you have not noticed the same things taking place, then you're lost along with these people, right? So within 6 months, 2 gay activist organizations were formed in New York, concentrating on confrontational tactics, and 3 newspapers were established to promote rights for gay men and lesbians. A year after the uprising to mark the anniversary of June 28, 1970, the first gay pride marches took place in New York, Los Angeles, and San Francisco. You see how they made this a worldwide thing? And guess what happened with the BLM, Black Lives Matter? New York, Los Angeles, San Francisco. And then it leaked out to look, Chicago. I can almost guarantee the women's liberation movement happened in these places. I can guarantee Black Lives Matter happened in these places. And it's all taking place where? On the media. I don't know. Y'all can say it's a coincidence, but yo, we all know. You go look up the word media, what does it mean? The goddess of deceit, goddess of illusions. Where do you get all your information? The media, social media. The anniversary of where and how did they get this media? Through what? Let's backtrack. Where is it? Boom, right here. 3 newspapers concentrating on confrontational tactics, and 3 newspapers were established to promote the rights. Right after the newspapers, then where did it take place? Boom, media. It's telling you in the chronological order, 3 newspapers. Boom. New York, Los Angeles, San Francisco. And similar marches were organized in other cities. Within a few years, gay rights organizations were founded across the U.S. and the world. The Stonewall National Monument was established at the site in 2016. Today, LGBT pride events are held annually throughout the world toward the end of June to mark the Stonewall riots, Stonewall 50, worldwide, New York City, 2019, commemorated, right? So they're celebrating something that was off a bullshit thing, right? You're celebrating gay rights, right? At least in this part of the world, New York, right? Based on some stupid ass riots. And this isn't the whole thing. This is just the Stonewall riots, right? We're gonna go back to the DSM, right? We gotta go heavy, guys. So y'all are out in the streets practicing your sexual orientation, and your right to do that was based on a false media cover-up, right? False media cover-up. In 1969. Let's go back. Now, that was one of the biggest events pertaining to this thing, and they had to get that going because they wanted to distract you and keep you from yourselves. Because what is this disorder? What is this thing? It's literally you having exactly what they said, distracting you from yourself. Look, ego dystonic, which is what? Getting away from the ego. What is the ego? The self. The opposite, referring to thoughts and behaviors that are in conflict or dissonant with the needs and goals of the ego, which is consistent with one's ideal self-image. You are away from yourself. You don't know yourself because of the influence of society. Now, where the gays are right, well, I will say the LGBTQ community is right, is that this can be affected. This can affect you in the womb. This can affect you based on your environment and how you come into the world. And as they said, prenatal and postnatal. It can affect you to that extent, right? I think that was here actually. No, I think it'll come though, right? It'll come, it'll show up. But that's where they are, right? It can affect you, but that doesn't mean that's where it starts. It's because of the environment. You know what I'm saying? Like if your mom was influenced, yes, I say mom, only women can give birth. If you're offended by that, go somewhere else. The simple fact that you have to get a woman's womb inserted into you because you feel like you're a woman, right? If you feel that way, fine, you feel that way. But if you are going about it to where you feel you physically have to change your being and your nature, then you aren't that thing. It's very simple, very fucking simple. So you can't get offended by me saying you're not a woman. You're not a woman. If you're a man, if you have a penis dangling, however you feel on the inside, yes, it can be a biological thing in a sense that you were affected in the womb because your mom took certain drugs or because your environment influenced you or had an effect on you. That's the only time. But it doesn't mean it's a natural occurring thing within the species. Understand that. Right? Alright, so moving on. Like I said, we're going heavy. We're going heavy, guys. This is going to be a long, hey, if you don't have the time, this is going to be let me take a sip of coffee. This is going to be a very long video because none of you are willing to do this. None of you are willing to do this. So, we about it out here, right? Right? We're about it over here, man. This is what we do. This is what we do. We're going to dive deep. Right. These activities continued in 1970 with the following predominant events. All right, let's get it. As described by Ronald Bayer, psychiatrist and gay rights activist, specific protests by gay rights activists against the APA began in 1970. I wonder why. When the organization held its convention in San Francisco, the activists disrupted the conference by interrupting speakers and shouting down and ridiculing psychiatrists who viewed homosexuality as a mental disorder. I wonder why they would do that. And I wonder if this guy was paid or not. Because that could have been a thing also. That's what they do. Anyway, by the way, I didn't say that was a fact. I'm just saying I wonder. So don't try to twist my words. I know people like to be out there twisting words. Like, when I say something, I mean what I say, you know. I don't say shit that's half-witted or whatever the case is when it comes to shit like this. Because we're talking about our realities, right? Talking about our realities, people. In 1971, gay rights activist Frank Kameny, I hope I didn't butcher the guy's name, worked with the Gay Liberation Front. As you can see where they're from. The connection's real. Collective to demonstrate against the APA convention. At the 1971 conference, Khomeini grabbed the microphone and yelled, "Psychiatry is the enemy incarnate. Psychiatry has waged a relentless war of extermination against us. You may take this as a declaration of war against you." Now, with that statement, guys, from this Khomeini guy, right? Now, he was also a gay rights activist. He was also gay, right? And I'm sure he was a cool guy, whatever, right? But he was gay. And what we just discussed, what spiritually, right now we're going to talk spiritually, guys. What did we discuss that spiritually, the lower level of spirituality, right? Where we're still kind of dwelling in the physical, but we're on the spiritual right now. You are not yourself. You are away from yourself because you fail for some reason, whether it happened in the womb or whether it happened outside of the womb during your development. Somehow you were affected, right? And you are not yourself, to the point where you believe that the body you were born in is not your body. So what does that make you? Usually something that's in your body and it's not supposed to be there is a what? Either a parasite or what? A demonic possession. That's all I'm going to say. Psychiatry is the enemy incarnate. Psychiatry has waged a relentless war of extermination against us. Against who? You? Or the thing inside of you? Right? Now, I would agree that psychiatry today is a beast. It's disgusting what they do to people and children. But there's a lot of truth that stems from it, right? Because everything in this world starts off pure and then it's corrupted later. So spiritually, this guy's making a statement, and that because he's not himself, right? Because he's gay, right? That's what homosexuality is. It's you're away from yourself as far as the DSM-3 is concerned, right? And the DSM-3 ended in the early 70s. It ended in the early 70s. You know why? Because people like this started saying, hey, no, and then boom, it was gone. Look, right here. We'll keep reading. The activism occurred in the context of a broader anti-psychiatry movement that had to come from to the fore in the 1960s and was challenging the legitimacy of psychiatric diagnosis. What is not legitimate about that? It's very clear. We've already went over it. How could that not be legitimate? You're doing something that's against your nature, who and what you are. Like y'all don't see the miracle in the fact that as human beings we're able to create life once we come together, right? And that happens through a man and a woman. When a man and a woman comes together, we create life. If you play with that, if you fuck with that, then you're fucking with the natural process that keeps us coming into the experience of this reality. And you alter that. You mutate that. So what you're doing, you're mutating psychologically. You're mutating yourself. So you're not yourself. If you come into this world talking about you feel a certain way, or that you feel like you are something other than what you have, this physical reality has given you, then you're a contradiction to yourself. That's like a tree. That's like I think young Pharaoh said it best. And I always quote people because I don't like to steal people's words. He said that, a fucking tiger doesn't roll around acting like he's a fucking boa constrictor, saying, oh, in my past life, or I was born a tiger, but I feel like I want to eat rats and fucking what did he say? What did he say? Fucking wrap up a rat and fucking squeeze it to death. What do they call that? Constrict the fuck out of a rat and just swallow it whole, Like tigers don't do that. You know, a dog doesn't go around meowing. See, I know I'm a dog, but I feel, you know, human beings are the only ones going against their own nature. Like, what is it? And y'all wonder why things are the way they are in the world. Oh my God, why is there so much suffering? Because we're going against nature. It doesn't even have to be on a sexual level. You know what I'm saying? It could be on a mental level. It could be on a religious level. It could be on a conscious level. Fuck that. You know what I'm saying? Keep reading. Anti-psychiatry activists protested at the same APA conventions with some shared slogans and intellectual foundations, presented with the data from researchers such as Alfred Kinsey, and Evelyn Hooker. The seventh printing of the DSM-2 in 1974 no longer listed homosexuality as a category of disorder. After a vote by the APA trustees in 1973 and confirmed by the wider APA membership in 1974, the diagnosis was replaced with a category of sexual orientation disturbance. 1973, on October 15th, the Australian New Zealand College of Psychiatric Federal Council declares homosexuality not an illness, the first such body in the world to do so. In December, the American Psychiatric Association removes homosexuality from its Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, based largely on the research and advocacy of Evelyn Hooker. I'm sorry, her last name was Hooker, guys. There's nothing against that. I'm just saying it's just weird, like, right? It's just weird. Guys, if you don't see the plot here, if you don't see the plot, it's absolutely crazy. But let's move on. The DSM-3, homosexuality has been shifted to a new ego-dystonic homosexuality classification. In the DSM-3R, probably means revised or whatever the case is. Classification was also removed and largely subsumed under sexual disorder not otherwise specified. It's like they did with the Bible. They kept changing words and stuff in it. That's why all these different versions exist, right? And by the way, these are huge manuals. They don't just discuss homosexuality. They discuss an array. I'm talking an array of disorders and things that they have labeled, right? Which is now it's a very dangerous and touchy subject, right? If you go into that book, you're gonna come out thinking that you have everything in there almost, because of how fucked up they've made it, right? Sexual disorder, which can include persistent and marked distress about one's sexual orientation. So they still consider it, right? Actually, we need to go into the DSM-4 and 5 and see how they've changed it. But they stopped it here, so here they have all these different words and everything. But going back, right? Let's backtrack a little bit, right? They consider homosexuality a theory, right? We clicked on this, right? It was a theory. And based on the smallest amount of evidence that was purported through these very few people who are gay themselves, right? Right? they themselves had believed otherwise. But yeah, here we go. They theorized that it is caused by a complex interplay of genetic, hormonal, and environmental influences. All things which, right? Now, if you just break down this sentence, right? Complex interplay of, right? That means all these things are interplay, right? Genetic, hormonal, and environmental influences. Now, when you mix those things together, in what area of life, area of study, whatever you want to call it, do these things become a complex interplay? Science, genetic mutation, modification, fucking with your system, environmental influences like. Just read it and weep. The relationship between environment and sexual orientation is a subject of research in the study of sexual orientation. Some researchers distinguish environmental influences from hormonal influences, while other researchers include biological influences such as prenatal hormones, like I was saying earlier. Check this out. As part of environmental influences. Scientists do not know the exact cause of sexual orientation, but they theorize. Again, here it comes. Scientists do not know the exact cause of sexual orientation. Scientists do not know the exact cause of sexual orientation. Scientists do not know the exact cause of sexual orientation, but they theorize that it is a result of a complex interplay of genetic, hormonal, and environmental influences. But you've caused an entire generation, you've caused entire peoples to base their reality on something you do not know the exact cause of. But I'm the crazy one. I'm in the wrong. I'm attacking, right? If this is not the biggest attack, I don't know what is. They do not view sexual orientation as a choice. But you don't even know if look, they don't know if it's the exact cause of it, but they theorize that it's this. And based on that theory, they say it's not a choice. But it is a choice. You are acting on something that you feel. It's a choice. How can it not be a choice? That doesn't make any sense. That makes no sense at all. That's like saying, I feel like I'm a guy. Right? If you're a woman, I feel like I'm a guy. I want to have a penis. And you go to get the surgery. You have to go and get the surgery to become what you feel on the inside. That is a choice to do. Some people don't act on it. Some people just have the feeling. But then again, people act on their feelings, right? So, I mean, come on, y'all. But you know what? Let's get nitty gritty. I'm not just gonna go off of this. We are gonna go into the science, guys, because I don't play, bro. I don't play when it comes to this. Let's go to the science. Let's start with genetic. Is a branch of biology concerned with the studies of genes, genetic variation, and heredity in organisms. Any of this stuff sounds familiar? Key components: chromosomes, DNA, RNA, genome, heredity, mutation, nucleotide variation. That sounds like some vaccine stuff. If y'all seen my video on the C virus, coronavirus, then you would know that it's bullshit. anytime they start to mention these things, that means they're the ones fucking with it. Right? Let's get into this. It's a branch of biology concerned with the study of genes, genetic variation, and heredity in organisms. Through heredity, though heredity had been observed for millennia, boom, 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 Gregor Mendel, a scientist, and Augustinian friar, worked in the 19th century, was the first to study genetics scientifically. Mendel stated that trait inheritance, patterns in the way traits are handed down from parents to offspring. He observed that the organisms, pea plants, inherit traits by way of discrete units of inheritance. This term, still used today, is a somewhat ambiguous definition of what is referred to as a gene. Right? Trait inheritance and molecular inheritance mechanisms of genes are still primarily principles of genetics in the 21st century. But modern genetics, hey, stay with me, because this is what y'all are preaching. This is y'all deep down belief, right? That this is normal. And we should, as a society, we should take our conscious and our resources and uplift a community whose goal and consciousness is only rooted in sex and its orientation. How lost have we become, people? So stay with me, because this is you, this is your belief, this is what you preach. So if you believe in it, then you should be sitting here with me. You should be staying involved and engaged. Now, modern genetics has expanded beyond inheritance to studying the function and behavior of genes. Gene structure and function, variation, and distribution are studied within the context of the cell, the organism, and within the context of a population. Genetics has given rise to a number of subfields, including molecular genetics, epigenetics, and population genetics. Organisms studied within a broad field span the domains of life. Archaea, eukarya, which is there's different types of cells, prokaryotic and eukaryotic, right? Which I went over in my video on the coronavirus, right? Which I know is bullshit, and I will preach that, right? Let's go to the etymology of the word. The word genetic stems from the ancient Greek genetikos, meaning genitive, generative, which in turn derives from Genesis, meaning origin. And you wonder what your Bible is about. It's about you, dumbass. Bible is an astrological book which mirrors the cosmos, and our bodies mirror the cosmos because we are children of the cosmos. But we're being dumbed down by other people's ideologies of what the fuck religion is. I wonder why they call the beginning of the fucking book Genesis. Come on now. Genes. Your genes, idiot. Wake up. You wonder why the churches are flying the flags now, because they're the ones that don't even preach this no more. Before, you go to church and they be like, yeah, being gay is a wrong thing. Now, how they would preach it, that's up for debate, right? But it is a wrong thing. And now they know how to make you fucking gay. They know how to put the soy in the food. Soy attacks testosterone, which makes men more feminine. And you wonder why you walk down the street and half these men, when they talk, they sound like they fucking, they do long S's and say girl a lot and very flimsy and flamboyant limbs and shit. But they swear they're men, but they don't see it because of the food and the environmental influences, whether it was in the womb or outside of the womb. during development, but it starts with the genes. Your fucking genes. Genesis. Genetics stems from Genesis, which is Greek. That's how anyone want to learn history, they don't go past the Greeks, the Romans, the Latin, because they're the fucking ones who control the shit. God, I mean, I'm passionate, guys. I know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? So, hey, let's get to it. Let's go back to the DSM. Right? And you wonder why they changed it, right? Now, you know me, I'm gonna start with the different demographics of this stuff, right? Romantic. Let's do it. Let's do it. Romantic. Where does romantic come from? Look at this. Look at this. Look. I don't even have to explain it to you. I already did. But we're gonna let these guys do it for us. This article is about a type of emotional attachment for the modern popular fictional genre of romance novel for the historical era associated with the artsy romanticism. Romance, blah, 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 blah. Okay, let's get into it. Romance is an emotional feeling of love and a strong attraction towards another person. I'll show you where this shit fucking was brought up. And the courtship behaviors undertaken by an individual to express those overall feelings and resultant emotions. The Wiley-Blackwell Encyclopedia of Family Studies states that romantic love based on a model of mutual attraction and honest connection between two people that bonds them as a couple creates. Let's get to where this shit comes from. General definitions. Anthropologists are able to define love as an intense attraction that involves an idealization of the other with an erotic context. The word romance comes from the French vernacular, where initially it indicated a verse narrative. The word was originally an adverb of Latin origin, romanicus, meaning of the Roman style. Hello. So all you females out there, I want a romantic man. You want a gay man. That's what you want. Hey, I'm just keeping it real. It doesn't matter how my delivery is. The fact is that it's here. It's proof right in front of your eyes. How many of you are still out there disbelieving? I'll just read. Hey, just read. Meaning of the Roman style. Roman. Look. Is a I can't even pronounce it. Historiography. Ancient Rome. What did I say in the beginning of this? Before I even came across this information. Ancient Rome, y'all. You see how it spreads? You see how their empire was spreading? And you wonder why. You see where this comes from? Europe. This ain't a natural thing. Ain't no melanated beings was doing this crap. European medieval vernacular tales, epics, and ballads generally dealt with chivalric adventure, not bringing in the concept of love until late into the 17th century. It wasn't even about love. Romance. The word romance developed other meanings, such as early 19th century Spanish and Italian, of adventurous and passionate, which could intimate both. That's weird. I think they meant imitate both love affair and they meant imitate, which could imitate both love affair and idealistic quality. Boom, bada bing, guys. Romanticism is not love. It's not love. Now, let's go back to homosexuality. Romance is an emotional feeling of love. No, not love. Strong attraction, yeah. Look at the definition of the Roman style. So no, this doesn't mean, because I know a lot of the LGBT community could try to twist this and say, oh yeah, see how far our genes go back, and you know how we can, you know, trace it all the way back to those days where even being gay was normal. No, it wasn't normal, because Rome fell in the height of all this. That's why they fell, because they were practicing and doing things going against nature. And anytime the Romans are depicted, they're depicted as a very evil people. I mean, look at the whole story with Jesus, what they did to him. What did Jesus say when he came? Don't do that. It's not normal. When he said the wages of sin is death, he didn't mean, oh, God is going to punish you if you do this. No, you punish yourself. The wages of sin. What are wages? Something you earn. You hear me? You hear me, people? Wages are something you earn. So the wages of sin, what you earn for sin is death. You earned it. How do you earn something? By putting in the work. The wages of sin is death. What you earn from sin is death. Sin is actually another name for the moon in Sumerian text, I think. Don't quote me. I think it's Sumerian. Ancient Sumeria was a civilization, if you don't know that. Which was the moon. The moon actually gives off, the moon, they call it a natural satellite, which is, it wasn't a lot of, I think there was an African culture, I want to say it's the Dogon, an ancient African civilization that actually said the moon at some point did not exist. Even the stories of the Prophet ﷺ, the Prophet Muhammad in Islam, even there's stories about him splitting the moon. And there's even a depiction of that in Dragon Ball Z. For all my fans out there that watch Dragon Ball Z, for all you who are out there who watch Dragon Ball Z, Piccolo, who's dressed like a Muslim with the robes and the garbs and the turban, and he's melanated because he has green skin, right? Is seen splitting the moon in half in Dragon Ball Z, guys. Piccolo has a deep voice like a black man, melanated, wearing robes and garments, right? He's seen, you put Piccolo and you have Malcolm X, right? They're both wearing those Moors, right? The Moors, ancient Muslims who were black. The Moors, dressed like that. Bada boom, bada bing. Splitting the moon in half because the moon gives off a very negative energy. It keeps our souls here. That feminism, or that feminine negative aspect of the feminine energy, right? Not the divine feminine, right? The feminine that the women should be attributing to, which is protecting their which I advocate for. I advocate for women, but a lot of them, majority of women are going astray. You know, they want to be materialized. They love material things. Not all of them, but most of them. You know, even if they don't ideologically fall into it, with their actions they do, with how they dress they do. You know, but women fall into that category, and that's why the moon is considered a feminine energy. It's called Luna. It's called celestial. That's the moon. That has to do. It's a celestial body, right? That's a feminine quality, guys. So if y'all can sit here all day and say that I'm just making links and I'm just talking out of my ass, but I don't talk out of my ass. I know what I'm talking about. And romance, especially through homosexuality, is Roman style. Romanicus. Romance comes from the French vernacular, which is what? Vernacular language is the speech variety used in everyday life by the general population in geographical or social territory. So it's the modern. Romance is modern, but it comes from France or whatever. That's why they say, oh, go to France, it's romance. Go to Paris, and that's where the lovers are. But it was originally what? An adverb in Latin origin. Latin comes from the Romans, right? That's why you have the Roman Catholic Church, right? And they speak Latin. That's why it's on your dollar bill. So now we know who owns the dollar bill, right? It's the one who wears the what? Whoa, no, the Pope is Catholic. He's not Jewish. Yeah, the dude wears a yarmulke, guys. Come on. Those that call themselves Jews are not. They are the synagogue of Satan. Didn't it say that in your Bibles? Anyway, Latin origin, Romanicus, meaning of the Roman style. Yo, y'all think I'm playing? This is right here in front of your face. Oh no, I don't want to trust Wikipedia. You can edit it and change it. No, fine then. Go look it up somewhere else. I bet you get the same definitions. I've heard all the excuses, people. It's not about something fitting your ideology. It's about you understanding different perceptions and matching it up with what's consistent with reality. That is truth. It doesn't matter how you feel about something, guys. Oh, I'm feeling like I want a piece of cake. So I guess everybody should eat cake today because I want a piece of cake. If I go to the park right now and nobody's eating cake, I'm like, what's wrong with them? They're not eating cake? I feel like cake. Everybody should be sharing cake right now. That doesn't make any sense. It's not always about you. Get out of that perception that the world revolves around you. Unless, of course, you're a child of the sun. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Anyway, let's get to it. Right? So, bada boom, bada bing. That was romance, right? Romance is not love. We just went down on that. It was changed into making it look like that because they wanted us to accept what they had planned, which is turning this and making it opposite. Right? Homosexuality is a romantic Roman, like I said in the beginning of this video, it's a Roman attraction, sexual behavior between members of the same sex or gender. Sex. Gender. Sex. Gender. They're the same. You don't think so? Let's read. Organisms of many species are specialized into male and female varieties, each known as sex. Sexual reproduction involves the combining and mixing of genetic traits. Specialized cells, known as gametes, combine to form offspring that inherit traits from each parent. The gametes produce, that's basically the definition. We're going to go on. Then you have gender. Gender is a range of characteristics, right, your actions, pertaining to and differentiating between masculinity and femininity, depending on the context of these characters. So, walaikum salam, bro. I'm in a live video right now, just doing some. Oh. Yeah, you're good. How's your day, man? Alhamdulillah. Yeah.
Mashallah, wait till you get that good internet.
Yeah, inshallah.
Upload that shit quick.
Inshallah. Yeah, bro. We're going over over homosexuality, man. Breaking it down, man.
Definitely. The homosexuality.
Yeah. So, depending on the context, these characteristics may include biological sex, sex-based social structure, see the actions, right? In order for it to be social, you have to be implementing it into society, right? Sex-based social structures or gender identity. Most cultures use a gender binary, having two genders. Those who, and there's others, right, that people use, like the homosexual community use different gender identity structures, right? But the difference between sex and gender is nothing. I'm not going to say that. No. The difference between sex and gender is action. Is the act. Because as you read here are the characteristics, right? Your characteristics are how you move and act, whether in society or just life in general, right? Sex-based social structures. And it may include biological sex, which is, did it not say that here? This is the biological aspect. So they're the same thing, the only difference is action and how it's implemented. Right? Boom, bada boom, bada bing. Right? We're going to go heavy today. Along with bisexuality, heterosexuality, homosexuality is one of the three main categories of sexual orientation within the heterosexual homosexual continuum. Scientists do not know, we already read this, do not know the exact cause of sexual orientation, but they theorize, there it is again, they theorize that it is the cause of complex genetic, hormonal, and environmental influences, right? So those of you who say that there is a difference between sex and gender, because I had a lot of LGBTQ people in the community say that there's a difference between a sex and the gender. There is none, because there's a complex interplay of genetic and hormonal and environmental influences. So there's no difference. Like I said, the only difference is action and how you implement that mentality or psychiatry behind it. And do not view it as a choice, right? We already went over that. It is a choice. Although no single theory on the cause of sexual orientation has yet gained widespread support, there they go again, putting themselves in a hole. Although no single theory on the cause of sexual orientation has yet gained widespread support. So there's not only are there is it a theory, but none of those theories have any ground to it. But let's push society further into it, because even though we don't have any substantial proof, we're still going to push people to accept the ideology that homosexuality is a normal thing, right? Scientists favor biologically based theories. All theories, not even proven, they're theories. So how can they be biologically based, but at the same time be a theory? There is considerably more evidence supporting non-social, biological causes of sexual orientation than social ones, especially for males. Non-social, biological, that's very true. Like I talked about, like soy products destroy testosterone, right? Unless you're a savage like me, because I like to drink my boba, you know what I'm saying? And boba, those little tapioca balls, they're like, they have soy, right? But I love my boba, but it doesn't affect me, man. Biological causes of, because I'm a beast, I get my sunlight, you know? Biological causes of sexual orientation that's social, especially for males. There is no substantive evidence which suggests parenting or early childhood experiences play a role with regard to sexual orientation. That's a lie. Because if there wasn't, then why are people trying to push their kids, right? Where was it? I know they had adolescent in here somewhere. The adolescent, it was up here. It's on the previous page. There's no substantial evidence which suggests parenting or early childhood experiences play a role with regard to sexual orientation. While some people believe that homosexual activity is unnatural, scientific research shows that homosexuality is a normal and natural variation in sexual human. What a contradiction. How can scientific research show that homosexuality is a normal and natural variation in human sexuality and it's not in or and of itself a source of negative psychological effects, when they've already said it's a theory and no single theory has gained any widespread support? The scientists favor, right? It's not an actual fact. They just favor biologically based theories, right? Such a contradiction, man. There's an insufficient evidence to support the use of psychological interventions to change sexual orientation. But that's a lie too. Come on now. Scientists favor biologically based theories, and they're acting on these theories. Bro, so why would the LGBTQ community be such a vast thing, right? Why is it such an issue if scientists who are confirming these theories, right? And by confirming, I mean they're implementing them into society and confirming with the public, like, hey, these are real. Even though they're theories, they're real. That's what these people are saying, right? They're not real. But how can it be scientists and psychiatrists are coming together and saying, hey, scientific research shows that homosexuality is normal, but then at the same time, there is insufficient evidence to support the use of psychological interventions to change sexual orientation. Contradiction. The most common terms for homosexual people are lesbian for females and gay for males, but gay also commonly refers to both homosexual females and males. The percentage of people who are gay or lesbian, and the proportions of people who are in the same sex romantic, right, Roman relationships, or have had same-sex sexual experiences are difficult for researchers to estimate reliably for a variety of reasons, including many gay and lesbian people will not openly identify as such due to prejudice or discrimination, such as homophobia. Phobia is something you're afraid of, bro. Phobia is something that you have a fear of. I have no fear of any gay people. I'm sorry. So that's not even a real thing, homophobia. Negative attitudes and feelings towards homosexuality or people who are intended to be perceived as being gay by da-da-da-da. This is the most bogus definition or word here. This is a made-up word. You can't have you can't be a homophobe. You can't have a phobia against the ideology of romance. Now, heterosexism. This is a better word, I would say, right? Because it's a system of attitudes, bias, and discrimination in favor of opposite sex and sexuality. Now, this is a better word than homophobia. Homophobia is a stupid word. It could be a real thing. Now, you could build a hatred, right? You could build a system of attitudes, right, and biases based on this, right, which is wrong. You shouldn't treat people differently because they have different ideologies and beliefs, and because they run their life certainly. Now, if it's not infringing on your liberties and on your freedoms to live your life, you shouldn't be attacking or hating on these people. And I know you guys will say, oh, you're a hypocrite for saying that, you're attacking people. No, I haven't attacked anyone. I'm simply stating the facts here. The fact that this is a mental disorder. This is something that we need to target and to help our people, right? Homosexual behavior has also been documented in many non-human animal species, and wrong. This is because animals, especially the ones that aren't as intelligent, animals don't have that human like we have. We have the ability to be sentient, meaning we aren't animalistic. We aren't carnal in our ways. Animals don't make that distinction. Some do, right? Most of them do. But if you find that an animal is doing this, then, and it all depends on our stupid human perspective, because some animals can love, right? Not love, but have care and whatever they experience as animals, right? They can have care for the same sex, right? But you just don't see that, right? If two, like these ducks here, right? These two ducks, right? They could be both male, but that doesn't mean that it's a homosexual relationship. You see how they're trying to twist things? They could be brothers. They could have came from the same mother. You don't know that. They could be brother and sister. They could be sister and sister. You never know. That's a bogus thing. And the fact that they've wasted their time diving into that is BS, right? So many gay and lesbian people aren't committed with same-sex relationships. Though only in 2010s have census forms and political conditions facilitated their visibility and enumeration. These relationships are equivalent to heterosexual relationships in essential psychological respects. Homosexual relationships and acts have been admired as well as condemned throughout recorded history, depending on the form they took and the culture in which they occurred. Since the end of the 20th century, there has been a global movement towards freedom and equality for gay people, including the introduction of anti-bullying legislation. You see that? You see that? Now it's become law, legislation. Right? To protect gay children at school, right? But why would you need to protect a gay child from school? You should be protecting that gay child from home, because at home, their environment is being conditioned to allow them to go against their self. Remember, gay, which is what? Homosexuality, is away from the self, according to the DSM-3. Away from the self. Away from the self, right? So you're taking your children's souls and ability to identify who they are, identify themselves. This should just be anti-bullying legislation, not just to protect gay children, but to protect children and people in general. Not specified towards a certain populace, the gay community. Legislation ensuring non-discrimination. Equal ability to serve in the military, which is I don't know why the military would make this even an issue. Real talk. I was in the military, and dude, if you were gay, you were gay, whatever. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know why you have to create a law. Like, what is that? What is, you know what I'm saying? Like, look, if you go to your recruiter in the military, right, you want to join, and you tell the recruiter, yeah, I like to take it up the butt. I'm a man, and I like to take it up the butt. Dude, who cares? Do you want to serve or not? Can you do your job or not? That's what it is. Who cares what your sex is and who you like, bro? Whatever, do you behind closed doors. Like, what does that have to do with your ability to serve as a member in the United States military? Or whatever military. But they had to legislate it. They have to make it a politicized thing, right? Equal access to healthcare. Disgusting to me. The fact that you can take taxpayers' money, right? They're taking your money so that they can play boy and girl. They're taking your money so they can throw throw pills and technology down the female's reproductive system, so they can say, I don't want a baby right now, so I'm gonna kill my baby, right? This is where your this is where your tax dollars are going. Right? They're doing the most, right? They're taking your money from you, saying it's for a good cause, right? Calling it a tax, right? For the good of everybody else. And this is where they're getting the ability to attach a vagina to a man and a penis to a woman. equal ability to adopt and parent, and the establishment of marriage equality. All from Rome, guys. All from Rome, right? So let's look at the etymology of the word. The word homosexual is a Greek and Latin hybrid. The first element derived from Greek homos, meaning same. Latin homo is man, like Homo sapiens, man. Thus connoting sexual acts and affections between members of the same sex, including lesbianism. The first known appearance of homosexual in print is found in 1869 German pamphlet, The Austrian-born novelist arguing against oppression, which is what our education system was built under. Our education system was built under Prussian. German. Prussian is German. Which is what? Look at these dates. Look at these dates. Prussian. And in the height of the Prussian kingdom was what? Was Hitler, right? Hitler. Right? And then you have something called Operation Paperclip, when they brought those scientists over and they altered our education system. Our education system is Prussian, guys. Anti-sodomy law. Right? So like we said, homosexuality is romance. Romance is a Roman word. The Romans were practicing sexual, homosexuality then, and it was wrong, and their empire fell for many other reasons, but homosexuality was the main thing, one of the main things. Because once you go against yourself and your nature, you are your own destruction. Now, remember these colors, because now we're about to get spiritual, right? We're about to get spiritual. I want to take it into the spiritual, so that you guys, actually not even the spiritual, we're going to take it into the metaphysics, right? Because that metaphysics will link, right? And don't think I forgot about all this stuff, biology, neuroscience. Don't think I forgot about the sciences. I'm going to take it here because you guys need to understand the implications of what's being done to you and to the others around you, and why this is such a big thing, and why homosexuality is not normal in terms of what is consistent with nature and reality and the universe, right? Okay, so let's do this. The light spectrum. Let's type that in. Give me some time. Light spectrum. Boom. Watch this. Watch when it loads up. Oh, look at that. Light spectrum. Oh, the same colors. The electromagnetic spectrum. If you've seen my videos before, you go on my social media, go to my Facebook. You know who I am. Go to my Facebook, you'll see it. You'll see it. I talked about electromagnetic beings. That's what we are, right? There's a range of frequencies, right? The spectrum. These are frequencies, right? Light, right? Anything associated with these colors means that it's going on that frequency, right? For example, on the chakra systems, when you see this cursor here, right? This cursor, right? It's got a finger on it. It's used to point out something, right? The blue chakra in the chakra systems has to do with speech, right? Speech, when you start to awaken and you want to spread knowledge. And look what it's doing. It's pointing to these things. And anything that has to do with that color, that's what it is, right? So the electromagnetic expression covers electromagnetic waves of frequency ranging from below 1 hertz to above 10 to the 25th power of hertz, which is a lot, corresponding to wavelengths from thousands of kilometers down to a fraction of the size of the atomic nucleus. Hey, pay attention to that atomic nucleus. So it even goes beyond atoms and the subatomic particle. The size of an atomic nucleus, even below that, it's subatomic also, because you have light photons. Light photons, right? Light is a frequency also. The sun, for example, it exists on a certain frequency. The sun is actually so loud that we can't hear it. Just if you didn't know that, right? So the frequency range is divided into separate bands, and the electromagnetic waves within each frequency band are called by different names, beginning at the low frequency. And these radio waves, microwaves, infrared, visible rays, ultraviolet, and X-rays and gamma rays at the high frequency short wavelength, right? Electromagnetic waves in each of these bands have different characteristics, such as how they are produced, how they interact with matter, and their practical applications. The limit for long wavelengths in the size of the universe itself, while it is thought that the short wavelength limit is in the vicinity of the Planck length, gamma rays, X-rays, and high ultraviolet rays are classified as ionizing radiation. Ionizing, pay attention to that, ionizing radiation. Let's highlight that. Ionizing radiation, as their photons, didn't we just say that? Have enough energy to ionize atoms, causing chemical reactions. So this is a real thing. This is the real study of you and who you are, right? Down to your structure. You are light, and you are affect. No, you are light, and you affect matter. You affect your consciousness. Your light affects how it interacts with matter, right? This is who you are. Electromagnetic frequencies affect you. That's why 5G is a real thing. It's not a conspiracy. Those of you who don't study, you know what you're talking about. That's the visible spectrum. See the rainbow? That's the visible spectrum. Once you get into X-rays, like X-rays, it's beyond purple, right? The purple is the highest spectrum, right? Once you get to X-rays, it's the portion that you can't see, right? You can't see your bones, but you do an X-ray, and what? You can see your bones, because now you are seeing through a light spectrum, right? It's certain machinery that makes it visible for us to see through. X-ray technology is spiritual technology, but then it's all radiation, ionizing radiation. X-ray, see, X-ray. Look, just what I said, ionizing radiation. So I know what I'm talking about, and that's why you go to the doctors and they say, "Hold still, you'll be okay. I'm gonna put this thing on you," and then they run away all the way behind a wall while they put this X-ray near your face or your stomach or wherever you got, they're looking at you, because it's radiation. You can be affected by it, right? So now, electromagnetic spectrum. Boom. Let's get there. All right, because that's the flag. That's the flag. That's the colors of the LGBTQ, right? The limit for long wavelengths is the size of the universe itself, while it is thought that the short wavelength limits in the vicinity of photons, light, photons. Photons, if you don't know ionizing radiation, check this out. If you don't know basically atoms, ionizing radiation, atoms, right? Atoms, the energy to ionize atoms, right? radio waves, Spanish influenza, microwaves, infrared rays. This is where right around here is where you start to get into 5G and all these other things, right? So now let's go to the chakra systems, right? Because as you can see, these lights, these energies, these radiations, there's healthy radiation and there's bad radiation as far as human beings are concerned, right? So now we're going to go into the chakra system and explain these on the human level. Right? And funny, look at this. Funny how the chakras are the same thing. Same colors. I've talked about this before. I got a post on my Instagram about how the chakra system and the LGBTQ flag are the exact opposites. You see what they prioritize: consciousness, spirituality. Then you have. Let's get some images going so I can explain this better. And know exactly what they're doing, guys. Crown chakra, the third eye, the throat chakra, the heart chakra, Green Lantern. That's why he's one of my favorite superheroes. I was watching him the other day. Green Lantern. Actually, the lantern is actually right here on his chest. The green is the will, right? What you feel in your heart, right? And that's why it's such an amazing superhero. And actually, if you go into the comics and go deeper into the Green Lantern world, right? If you're into superheroes, they have a lantern for each of the colors. And the smaller you go, like this one in the series is the love. It's love. How crazy is that? Then you have the blue lanterns, right? Who are like they're the smart intellectual being. Then you have the green lanterns who will everything into existence, right? Then you have the yellow lantern, which is fear, right? And fear, you can either overcome it or you can sink into it. Which you have like the orange, which is greed, sacral, right? The greed. Orange Lantern in the comic book series was greed, and then you have Red Lanterns, and they were rage, right? The root chakra that has to do with sex, right? The lower self, right? So now when you look at the LGBTQ flag, right? It's flipped up on its head, where these colors here are at the top of their flag, which means they prioritize these colors: sex and all these other things, right? And they put consciousness and communication and all these other things at the bottom. We are beings of light, radiation, right? Light. And light has a huge influence and relationship with matter. Electromagnetic. When you magnetize electricity, it becomes matter. It becomes condensed. Electricity is just another form of light, right? Electricity is the masculine. Magnetism is the feminine, right? Because just think about men and women alone, right? Where men are more rambunctious, testosterone, action, going forth. And those are some qualities of electricity. Women are more beautiful, they draw in the attention, right? They seek attention. It's all magnetism. It's all gaining and pulling towards, right? That's why men follow women. Men pursue women because that's what their energy is, right? Men court women, that energy, that magnetizing energy. And when you master those two, you bring those two together, not only within the self, right? But in relationships with each other also, you have that concept, right? So here you go. Here's the light spectrum again within the human body, right? So you notice, right? And in the universe, everything spins counterclockwise, right? Right. Young Pharaoh had said something very key. He pointed out, and I never thought about this consciously. He said, whenever you draw a circle, which direction do you go in? Right? I know for me and most people, I start this way, right? Counterclockwise, like the galaxies in the universe, and I go that way, right? Sorry, I can't do a full circle, but you know what I'm saying. I go counterclockwise, counterclockwise like this, right? So that means my subconscious goes higher into higher consciousness. You see that? If you draw a circle this way, that means your subconscious you have more of a battle to fight, because you're going into lower levels of consciousness and light frequency. So with that being said, certain frequencies actually emit and affect these things in your body, right? But if you eat your diet, not only diet, your thought process, if you can master these things, you'll be a master of yourself, right? You'll be a master of the light that you are yourself, right? And what are gay people? They're going against themselves, right? So if you take this and make it into a flag, but the flag, the LGBTQ flag, is flipped upside down, well, where would this human being be? Where would this person be? It would be flipped on its head. It'd be upside down. So you are literally upside down. You're literally against yourself. You can't function if you're not sitting upright, if you're not being upright. You can argue with me all day, but these are sciences, right? Here you go. Here's a picture. I'm going to click on it. So here's the explanation. Now this is the LGBTQ flag. This is their version, right? But this is just an explanation. But this is how they build the flag. These exact order of these colors. And what is prioritized on the flag, right? I'm not saying this is the flag, but this is how they use the colors of the flag, right? So you have red, base of the spine, right? That's actually where men produce semen. Semen comes from here. The sun, the light rays, lights, remember this is the light spectrum. This is how we view things, right? Light enters, and I've done a video on how light enters the male, and it goes down his cerebral spinal tract, and sperm actually has vitamin D receptors on it. And scientists have already seen the spark of when a sperm reaches an egg. They've seen that spark of light that creates life, right? So light, right? Light enters through the top of the head, through the pineal gland, and your spine lines up every part of the body here, right? Every part of the body, your spine goes down these things, and your body has a link to all these things. But the base of the spine is where physical needs, passion, anger, lower abdomen, joy, vitality, creativity, sexuality, right? These are what they're prioritizing right here. Right here, right? So you can read these. The heart chakra, green, heart, love and peace, compassion. This is where you feel these things. The throat, communication, true to oneself, right? The brow, intuition, understanding, right? Right? And think about this. When monks bow their head, you don't need to know what they're thinking or what they're saying. It'll show you. When you expose the top of your head, that's what you're doing. Peace, oneness, right? Now the brow, intuition and understanding. If I raise my eyebrows, you know how I'm feeling? If I lower my eyebrows, you know how I'm feeling? If I put one eyebrow up, do you know how I'm feeling? Exactly. Throat, communication. Obviously, I use my throat to speak. That's a given. The heart, that's where you have feelings of love, peace, and compassion, right? Solar plexus, vitality, power, self-confidence. Vitality is life. How do you stay alive? You eat. The solar plexus is located in the center where your stomach is, right? That's why fasting is a good thing, because not only are you cleansing the cells, but if you fast and you get sunlight, you do it properly, right? I'm not talking about going on a jog or doing exercise so you can pass out, but you do it properly. You fast and you get your sunlight, solar plexus. The sun will give you energy. It gives, like I said before, it gives life to everything on the planet, but we're the only ones trying to hide from it. You have the lower abdomen, which is joy, vitality, right? Also vitality, life, right? Because you give life, right? The lower you go into the genital areas, you can have sex and practically give life, but you have to be doing it on the right frequency, right? Like here, start here, right? Master the kingdom. The kingdom is here. Is this? Is you? You're not going to be able to look. If you believe in the kingdom of heaven, right? If you believe in Jannah, right? You have to become something worthy of being in Jannah, being in heaven, before you enter heaven, right? That's why you walk the sirat, the straight path. This life is the straight path. And if you fall off, you can enter hellfire. There's a physical and there's a spiritual hellfire. You know? That's why they say we are fallen. Lucifer had fell, the light bringer had fell, because that is us in this hell and this trap being magnetized to this reality. And we're always trying to seek, we're always looking up to the stars, we're always looking up to the cosmos because we want to go back home, right? With our Creator. We want to inherit what our Creator has for us, right? What's an inheritance? If you are not a child, you know? So, let's go back now. So some of you will say, well, how does this link to homosexuality? Come on. I hate when it does this to me. Dude, what are you doing? Get out of here, man. I hate when it does this. Come on, I can't even scroll anymore. Gosh, this is so annoying. Anyway, I'll figure it out 1 second. Oh, this is so annoying. Anyway, let me try something. Give me a second, guys. So you're gonna ask, what does this have to do with homosexuality? Alright, looks like I'm having some difficulties. As you can see here, there's a reason why the colors to your right of the screen, there's a reason why they have those colors. There's a reason why certain colors are placed in certain order. Because they want to function and build an entire society that is altering the human down to your genetic structure. And genetics have everything to do, not only genetics, but biology in general has everything to do with there we go. Alright. Finally free. Oh, I did it again. Come on. There you go. Alright. Alright, we'll be careful doing that again. Alright. Has everything to do with genetics, right? Oh, here we go. I forgot about this neuroscientific, right? Research, right? Right. So etymology, we went over that. Pre-Islamic period. Yeah, see, it's been all over the world. Give me a second here. Here we go. Genetics, hormonal, right? Now, what do we say? So the light spectrum, like the colors, right, mimic the light spectrum. They not only mimic the light spectrum, but they mimic the different aspects, the spiritual aspects of the human body, which is in the chakra systems. The chakras and all that, those are real energies. You just have to understand them from a spiritual and light-based reality. What are hormones? Hormonal. A hormone, also Greek. Notice how nothing goes past this definition. What about all the ancient civilizations who had definitions? It's crazy, right? Greek is actually a backwards language. And so when you have English, English is a translation of a backwards language. So you have a backwards language that we're using. Pretty interesting, right? Hormone means setting in motion. Any member of a class of signaling molecules. Molecules, look at that. Molecules, what are molecules? In biology, cell signaling, cells. Any part of communication process that governs basic activities of cell and coordinates multiple cell actions. It's a biological process produced by glands in multicellular organizations. They are transported by circulatory system to target distant organs to regulate physiology and behavior. Signaling molecules produced by glands, transported through the circulatory system through your blood to regulate physiology and behavior. Signaling molecules. What are molecules? In biology, cell signaling, part of communication, process communication. Activities of cells. Right? Microenvironment. Right. Now let's look at the structure of the human body, right? So what are molecules? What are molecules, guys? A group of atoms. What do we say about atoms? Ionizing radiation. Atoms to do what? A group of atoms. So that's what you are. When you break down, like I've said before, break down who and what we are, you will find out the truth. Molecules are a group of atoms. What are a group of atoms? Molecules. What are a group of molecules? Cells. So when you go down to the molecular structure of things, you'll see that the atoms, what affects atoms? Ionizing radiation that we talked about in that color spectrum. Light, frequency, radiation. It does affect you. You don't believe me? You don't believe frequency affects matter? Check this out. I'm going to show you guys something. Check this out. Frequencies don't affect matter, huh? So, pay attention. So what you have here is a frequency plate, right? And the wires you see here, they are hooked up to a... I'm going to get in front of the camera real quick. So you have a frequency plate, it's a metal plate. And he's poured either, I want to say that's sand or salt. And what you have is these wires, they're hooked up to a tone generator. So underneath is the generator sending the signal, the frequency signal, to this metal plate so that it can vibrate, right, at a certain frequency, right? And the frequency is tuned with a machine that will turn it to a specific frequency for this to vibrate. Watch. As the frequency rises, it actually produces sound. Sound, vibration, this is vibrating. They go in order. You have frequency. Frequency creates vibration. Vibration creates sound. You hear that? The sound is going up. I don't know if you can hear it. I don't know if it's loud enough. I turned it down. But as the frequency changes and gets higher, the plate vibrates higher, thus changing the matter, which is the salt. Right? So if you experience a different frequency in your body, what do you think the minerals in the blood and the salt in your body are doing? Your cells are doing? It must be a high. Your frequency must be vibrating at a certain level for your atoms and your cells to be conscious enough to do the systems and everything that takes place in your body. If you're listening to me. So you don't think these scientists and these elites, you don't think they know these things? The governments and the systems that have been in place in the world over eons, you don't think they know these sciences? You think it's just stuff that's being discovered? No, people know these things. Uh-oh, look at that. Look at this. Watch this. When water is exposed to a frequency, check this out. Look at that. Look at that. That's a water droplet. And then the higher the frequency, which is what? Light. Then you have frequency. Then you have... And that's a process called magnetism. You go from light to frequency to vibration and then sound. That is called magnetism. Look at that. Looks like atoms, right? Almost. It's creating that shape, but it looks like a bunch of atoms running around it, right? That's because light and frequency has an effect on your atoms, on who you are, what you are. So when they change those frequencies, whether it's the food you eat, air you breathe, the things you hear and say and do, TV, technology, all that has an effect on you. That's what a molecule, right? Molecules create what? A molecule is an electrically neutral group of two or more atoms held together by chemical bonds. Molecules are distinguished from ions by their lack of electricity and charge. However, in quantum physics, they'll call it quantum physics, but you don't study metaphysics, which is the link between physical physics, what makes up physical things, and the spiritual. Metaphysics will tell you that. Quantum physics, they'll try and describe everything, right? But people think quantum physics, quantum physics is just this vast concept. You go into space to learn quantum physics. Nah, quantum physics is you. and you mirror the cosmos. Even in the Quran and all the scriptures, they speak about these things, right? But if you're stuck in that whole I was born again through Jesus' name type ideology, then you're lost. You're very lost. And we have no excuse nowadays not to start knowing these things, you know? Atom, chemical element, matter. What's matter? Let's see what it is. In classical physics and general chemistry, matter is a substance that has a mass and takes up space by having volume. You know what's crazy? And this is how we're linked to the stars, and I've told you guys this before. We're linked to the stars by this, right? So stars have a big mass, and when their mass is too big, they collapse on themselves. What are stars? Stars are a mix between certain gases, light frequencies, and different levels of matter, like plasma and what do you have? Carbon. What else? Certain other things. Everything we're made out of. Surprisingly, how crazy is that? Because we are down to our structure. We are what? Light. We are the atoms, which has a neutron, right? And what are some of the stars called in space? Neutron stars. What's a neutron star? Let's look that up. We're going deep. We're going deep. This homosexual stuff is the backwards portion of what we actually are. You think it's a game? This is why you're going against nature. I want to show you that homosexuality is against nature, because you're going backwards down the light spectrum. You want to stay materialized when your spirit, your essence, your light, which is a neutron, a subatomic particle of about the same mass as a proton, but without an electric charge, because it's neutral. Right? You have protons, neutrons, electrons. Right? Neutron star. Watch. Check this out. Neutron star. No. Did you hate when that happens? Neutron star. Here we go. A celeste, feminine, celestial object of a very small radius and very high density. Very what? High density. Condensed. Right? Light can be condensed once it's introduced to a magnetic force. Look, gravity, which is just another name for magnetism. Very high density, composed of predominantly and closely packed neutrons. Neutron stars are thought to form by the gravitational collapse of a remnant neutron. Your light is being gravitized to this reality, provided that the star is sufficiently massive to produce a black hole, just like I said in some of my other videos. So what you have also is your consciousness, right? Your awareness. How do you gain awareness? When you see through this world, when you see light, your eyes are a mirror of a black hole, which means you yourself are conscious enough to be absorbing this reality and having an influence on it through your consciousness. That's why your eyes are a black hole. You take in light, you absorb light, and it's being manipulated. Your world is being manipulated. This world is an illusion. Unless you master that, right? Neutron star. You also have neutron atoms in you. So you have a neutron star. Why do they think they call it that? They have a neutron, right? Search neutron. What's a neutron? A subatomic particle. Why is it subatomic? You are a mirror of what's happening in the cosmos. Same properties as a star, people. But that's if you wanna resonate with this frequency. If you don't, you can follow the LGBTQ community and take your consciousness down. And that's just one effect of going against the nature of the chakra systems, of who you are on the light spectrum, because that's what we are. That's what we're made up of. You know, it's a very small portion of what I can talk about. Look. Free neutrons, whether the ionizing atoms caused by ionizing radiation. What is ionizing radiation? It'll take us right back. Look, cosmic rays. Rays, what are rays? Lights, rays showers. Look, let me go back. You guys think it's a game. This is what I do. I know what I'm talking about. So if I come on here and you feel offended, oh, you don't like gay people. No, it's not about that. It's not that I don't like gay people. It's not, I've never sit here and preached about not liking anyone. But they are having a disorder. They are struggling to maintain who and what they are. It's very clear. How are you born physically as a male? You have a penis, you have male qualities, a chiseled chin, extra muscular disposition, you know, but you're saying you feel like a female. That's because you were influenced to. And it's a choice whether or not you act on that. So yes, it's a choice. Free neutrons. So neutrons, which you have in your body, which we already discussed, are ionizing radiation, right? It can be a biological hazard depending on the dose. So depending on how much of it you get can be a hazard. A small natural neutron background flux of free neutrons exists on Earth, caused by cosmic rays and showers. Cosmic rays. What are cosmic rays? Oh, look, light spectrum. Space at nearly speed of light. Cosmic ray. Look at this. Speed. See, I already knew they were gonna have speed of light highlighted. So here's something about you little Bible thumpers, right? They originate from the sun. The sun, like I said, which does what? Brings light. The sun is a stargate. The Egyptians knew that. From outside the solar system and from distant galaxies. We are the aliens. Look, speed of light. What is the speed of light? Watch this. The speed of light, 186,000 miles a second. From the sun. The light comes from the sun, right? Light comes from the sun. What is the sun? The Leo constellation, right? Or the Leo zodiac, right? Which is representative of the sun. It's a lion, right? The tribe of Judah was a lion also. You want to see something cool? Check this out. You guys think it's a game. Speed of light is 186, since we measure things in miles per second. We don't use like kilometers or some of those not British, but European and other scaling systems. We'll just use miles per second, right? So it's 186,000 miles per second. Check this out from the Bible, guys. I'm sorry, hold on. I didn't click it. me a second. Internet's a little slow. Give me a second, y'all. Check it out. All the men assigned to the camp of Judah, numbered the speed of light. The speed of light in all the different versions. Speed of light. Speed of light. Speed of light. The speed of light. The speed of light. Look. Well over the speed of light. Not well over, just over the speed of light. Speed of light. Right? Tribe of Judah, which is the lion, right? The lion is the Leo is the sun. So if you go against the light spectrum, if you go against your nature, right, who and what you are, right, you have neutrons when you go down to the neutrons, protons and electrons spin around the neutron, right, once they're charged. Those are then in turn become atoms, which is a particle structure. Atoms then become molecules. Molecules then become cells. Cells become organisms. Organisms become us. You see how it separates us from the sciences separate us. Electromagnetic radiation. Watch this. I'm also typing something else. Electromagnetic. I gotta hurry because my phone's dying. Magnetic space beings. Watch this. Electromagnetic beings. Right? You may think this is some alien thing. No, check this out. Oh, look at that. The human body. EM being. How the human body creates electromagnetic fields. Images of electromagnetic beings, the humans, the brain. Oh, look at that. The light spectrum. Y'all think it's a game. Go get help. Get away from that. Know who and what you are so that you can function and move yourself and humanity forward and elevate our consciousness so that we can get back to who and what we are and what we're supposed to be. Not operating in this lower field of light, of sex and materialism and materializing. Matter, magnetic, light becoming magnetic is matter. Ionizing radiation. The man-made church. Humans are electromagnetic beings. Medical science has long known that humans are electromagnetic beings. Boom, it's all there. It's the science. Want to see some more? Look, check this image out so you can understand it better. And then we'll end it here because my phone's dying. And we need to cancel this out because this video is pretty long, but you guys need to understand. Check it. Come on. Just click the video. Look at electromagnetic field. Same field around the Earth, by the way. I have another picture on my Instagram that mirrors this right here. Electromagnetic field around the Earth. It's called the Van Allen belt, right? And you wonder why this is a prison place we can't escape. We have to wear special suits and technology in space because the frequencies out there we can't handle. You know why? Because it's not within our spectrum, not within the electromagnetic field. Radio, look. Microwave. That's why they say the microwave is harmful, because where does it fit? Right in the lower spectrum. Infrared. Boom. Visible. Visible, right? It encompasses all of it. Ultraviolet from the sun, right? The sun gives us what? Ultimate consciousness, right? Life comes from there, right? Through the head of the male into the cerebral spinal tract, into the sperm. The sperm ignites with the woman's egg, right? Ultraviolet. Ultraviolet. X-ray, seeing through the physical reality. And gamma ray, which is beyond our scope, like higher frequencies can form different higher frequency patterns, right? Now imagine this becoming physical, which it couldn't, but imagine what that would mean. It probably is on a different reality, on a different realm, a different dimension. But we live in the third dimension, right? 3 times 2 is what? Bada boom, bada bing. It's all there. So anyway, that's a little science behind the homosexual agenda, how it mirrors and goes against the electromagnetic spectrum, which is in essence who we are, what we are. So, you heading out, brother?
Yeah.
Peace and love, man. Inshallah, I'll see you in a little bit.
No, I'm gonna be back either in there. Just go one day.
Oh, to the bay.
Yeah, I might go to work straight from there.
Alright, be careful on the road, man.
I will, bro.
Alright,
bro. That's all good.
Wa alaikum salam, bro. So yeah, So if y'all want to look into these further and get to some more and more details, because I didn't go deep, but I went deep. I didn't go deep, but I went deep because it's necessary. You guys need to see this stuff. Check this out, and this is why the Green Lantern is one of my favorite superheroes, because look, electromagnetic field of the heart. You know, it's crazy. The Prophet ﷺ, for those of you who are Muslim and you want to listen to this, the Prophet ﷺ said that the heart, when it's on the right frequency, right, the heart actually can be felt from, I think, don't quote me, but I think he said like 5 miles away, like a Muslim's heart. A Muslim, which just means believer, is just the Islamic version of believer, right? And I'm not talking about Islam as far as like the dogma that it's been created in today's society. I'm talking about the way of life. You can call it Islam, you can call it Christianity, you can call it whatever. The way of life we used to live, right? And the people in the past, they knew these things. Whatever culture and language and religion they came from, they knew it. They just said it in a different language, said it in a different culture, said it in a different context and perception, but it's all the same stuff, right? Our thoughts and emotions affect the heart's magnetic field, which energetically affects those in our environment, whether or not we are conscious of it. Electromagnetic beings, right? You want to see something crazy? This is actually where they get, right? Let's go to electromagnetic field around the Earth. Right, this is actually where they get the Van Allen belt, the electromagnetic field, right? Check it. Yo, I do this. We going in. I do this. Right? Look at this is the Earth and its electromagnetic field. Doesn't that look the same? And it's all around. It's not just, so I'm going to click on this, right? It's all around, right? So let me explain real quick. Once it loads up, hold on. Right? Alright, so look at this photo. So, 1 second. Hold on, it's loading. Damn, I really hope my phone won't die. It's not popping up. Oh, there it is. It's always when I say something. So it's not just here. This is coming out that way. And it's also, like, it's a globe, right? It's a 3D globe, right? It's not just coming out here, but it's coming out this way, and then this way. It's coming out all over because it's an electromagnetic field, just like the human body. And it's called the Van Allen belt, right? So, the Van Allen belt, which is this, right? It's electromagnetic. The north magnetic poles, right? The south magnetic poles, right? And it affects you. Right, so depending on where the earth is and how it goes, right, energies and all that stuff is real. A lot of people tell you, no, it's evil, you shouldn't study it, but it's a real science, and they're using it against you, so why not know what it is so you can avoid being misled, you know? So, these are real things, real energies, real things taking place. Assalamu alaikum, bro. So, and everything that, even the sun has an electromagnetic field. The sun is a neutron star also. It just hasn't reached the level of mass to implode on itself. It's actually fairly new sun, and it's yellow, right? The solar plexus, right? When you master this and get your sunlight, you know. You see the human body and that energy field that extends, right? Right? What the hell? So basically that what you saw, right, was the electromagnetic field. Let me show you something before my phone. Oh, my phone's about to tap out real quick. I'm going to end it here, y'all. I'm going to end it here. Anyway, it's the chosen one. It's the guided one. It's the guided one. It's the chosen one. It's the man with the pitcher of water. The man with the pitcher of water, guys. Peace and love to you all.